quick show of hands, how many of you manage BI teams and you've lost maybe 20% of your team? Ooh. Real quick, why do you think that is? I'm hearing money. I hear money. Oh, fragile egos. Yeah, that sounds reasonable, right? Oh, tools. Yeah. I mean, maybe they're leaving because they want to do stuff in Power BI and you won't let them. I mean, that sounds reasonable. Can I let you in on a secret? It ain't about the money. It's about poor management. Hey everyone, Christos here with Better at BI. I want to talk about this awesome book that's going to help you manage your BI team. 2018, the book was published called Herding Tigers, and it was written by Todd Henry. Now, this book wasn't written specifically for BI teams, but what this book was written for was to help you as a manager manage your creative team. Now, you can say, well, Christos, my analytics teams, they're not really creative. All they do is write SQL, put it in Excel. I do all the work. I know how to do VLOOKUP and pivot tables, so I got this, right? Creative work is the kind of work that's got to be figured out as you go along, right? Creative workers are the people that take these things that's got to be figured out as we go along and shape this chaos into form, meaning, and value. Gang, that's your BI team. All right, listen, not every request is like that, but most of your requests are. Todd Henry writes in his book that it's quote, "The stakes are simply too high for you and your team. You need practical, tactical ideas that will help you gain clarity and take your leadership to the next level." After 20-something years and after reading this book, he's right on. Listen, this book isn't perfect, but it's got a lot of great information in it. It's about 300, it's a little less than 300 pages, about 12 chapters. Each chapter, the format is about the same. There's a quote, which is a great quote, and then there's a principle attached to the beginning of each chapter, and then the author spends time unpacking that principle, giving you, again, practical, tactical advice, right? So for example, one of the principles is to create stability, manage your team's margin aggressively by protecting white space. Now, read the book because he goes into a lot of great detail of what that means and ways that you can do that. Now, some of the other things he talks about in this book is, what do creative people need, right? Not so much about tools and things like that, although that's important, but he discusses what it is that creatives need. Now, creatives need both, they need a mix of challenge and stability. Now, there's a great little chart in this book called the Challenge Stability Matrix, which is really quite simple, and I'll show it to you right here. And it basically shows you want your people in the thriving quadrant as often as you can have them. Now listen, I get it. I worked with a guy at one of my jobs. He's purposefully wanting to be in the stuck quadrant. Now that may seem bad to people like you and I, but this fellow, good man, he's like 2 years away from retiring. He just wants to retire. So what you and I may think is stuck, he's thinking this is the best. He needs stability, but he didn't really care to learn Tableau. I mean, he's like, listen, in fact, he even said to me, listen, I got like 2 years left. If I don't have to learn anything new, I don't want to. Yeah, okay, whatevs, right? That's the good thing. But if you have an employee who wants to be thriving and he or she is in a stuck quadrant or lost quadrant, right? Then, or even angry, they're going to be gone. They're not going to stick around. That's one of the reasons. This is one of the things that's leading to this great resignation. Now, you've also heard of the 4 Fs, right, in human evolution or in human psychology, which is like fighting, fleeing, feeding, and mating, right? The author discusses what he calls the 3 Fs. You as a manager should be considering these 3 Fs in just about everything you do. The 3 Fs are focus, right? What are we doing? What are we not doing? When are we going to do it? Right? Function. How are we going to do whatever it is that we need to do, right? What do we need? What tools? What white space? What do we need in order to do whatever it is that we need to do, right? And finally, fire. A manager is supposed to, I'm not saying light a fire, but manager is supposed to help their employees understand why the work they do is so important to the organization, right? I mean, he doesn't talk about going around and rah, 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 cheerleading this and that, but people need to understand why the work they do is important. They need to understand where they fit in this organization, because you want them to be a part of the organization. Right? So you've got to help them understand, why are we doing it, and what does it mean when we do this? Right? Leading a team of creatives also means, sometimes you got to have rituals, right? And the author writes about all these rituals, like, how often do you meet? Some management consultants say you should meet one-on-one with your team as a manager. Some management consultants say, once you get to a certain magic number, you should only meet with these people once every other week, right? Or something like that. Should you have team meetings? Should you not have team meetings? Here's a little surprise. You should have team meetings. I worked in a place where they refused. I mean, like, when I say refused, it's not hyperbole. They refused to have team meetings. And here's a shocker. No one ever really knew what was going on. Weird. Didn't expect that to happen. But there's a lot of rituals that the author writes that I strongly agree with. Some are a little like, okay, whatever, but they're not wackadoodle stuff like, hey, every Wednesday afternoon we go out and drink kombucha and trade gratitude journals, right? There's a lot of great stuff in this book, a lot of solid stuff in this book. It's a short read. Again, it's not a scientific journal, but it's not like, it's not a scientific journal. But it's not some far out holding hands type of thing. It's a good mix of research data, metadata research, and some other stuff. Listen, if you are managing a BI team, leading a BI team, or you want to be managing or leading a BI team, this book, Herding Tigers, really should be on your shelf as a must read. If you are not managing, if you're managing a manager who's managing a BI team, this is also a great book for you, because this manager is going to have some challenges that are unique to the BI team as well. Anyways, this is Christos with Better at BI. I really hope you liked this review. Hit comment down below, subscribe, and like if you don't mind. And I hope to have more information for you later. Awesome. All right, thanks everyone.